David, we just watched The Mitchells versus the Machines. Can we talk about it?
Ooh, sorry, Christian. I'm a little occupado. Want to check out this mallard? It's dead.
Never mind. I'll go talk to Bon.
Yeah, what's up?
Did you see what fucking David's doing over there? He fucking killed a mallard and he's hanging it up and, like, why?
This mallard rules!
It's on his bullshit again.
Like,
it's dead!
It is dead. He is right about that.
Yeah, it's definitely dead.
Definitely dead.
Yeah.
I'm masturbating.
Damn it.
Running fastest, kill outfit. It's futuristic, like Carnegie the Magnificent. Rewind your VCR, rewind your cassette. Nintendo pilots, flying up ahead. Captain's log, trying to loop a gun. Polarized sea of life, the weapon covered shine. Out on your street tonight. Don't matter how loud you gotta shout it. Out on your street tonight.
3, 2, 1. Ralph. Fuck, marry, kill. I'm just kidding.
Fuck, mayor, kill. So there's the one that you have sex with, there's the one that you kill, and the one that you elect to a fairly prestigious public office on a city level. We're going to play that today.
All mayoral elections from now on are fuck, mayor, kill.
We've been campaigning for ranked choice voting for so long, and what we mean by that is fuck,
this is what
mayor,
ranked
kill.
choice voting looks like.
That's what ranked choice voting looks like.
That's what freedom looks like.
Yeah, man. Fuck, mayor, kill. I keep saying it wrong. Oh, shit. Welcome to Contextual Deviance. My name is Christian Hagen. Each episode, we watch a movie, and then we talk about that movie through a series of randomly generated critical contexts provided to us via our contextual computer, prompting us on a journey of discovery and weirdness as we talk about this movie as if no one has ever talked about it before, / in a way that no one has ever talked about it before. I might have phrased that weird. What matters is that I'm doing this with my friends and co-hosts, who I'm so glad are with me again, Misters David Gutchie.
Oh, shit. Hello.
And Matthew Bond.
Oh, hey, hi.
I mean, just because the last few episodes I introduced Bond first does not mean that there's like a specific pattern I follow, David. Don't put me in a box. I can say hi to you first if I want to.
It's just so scary.
Yeah, you're very easily frightened.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm like a small horse or a big horse. I think all horses are pretty easily frightened in my experience.
Yeah. You do like to frighten horses.
Yeah, well, unintentionally and intentionally. They're a good when you're building a haunted house. So, when you're building a haunted house.
When you're building a haunted house.
You gotta have a horse. You walk that horse through, see how he spooks, and you got yourself a deal. Ding, ding. Check all those boxes. Scares a horse, it'll scare a mule. Scare a mule, it'll scare a donkey. Scare a donkey, you can scare a baby. That's my guarantee. Here at Dave's Haunted House Emporium. Come on down. 1-800-GET-SCARRED. That's SCRRD.
I want that to be the rest of the show.
Yeah, honestly.
Do you have any questions for me about my emporium?
Let's just shut down the podcast and just listen to David list off different transitive animals to humans that could be frightened to justify the quality of a haunted house. Oh, fuck me. Well, we do have to move on from that, unfortunately.
What movie are we doing today?
Because this time we're doing another 2021. This will be our fourth 2021 feature in a row.
Oh my
Let's see,
God.
what are the 4 we've done so far? Are
we influencers? Is that?
Yeah, that's what this means.
That's okay, cool.
We're influencers. Now we'll be influencers in the haunted house space. We have been in the movie space. Speaking of space, we did Space Sweepers. We did Godzilla vs. Kong. what was the one we did before that? Flora and Ulysses.
Oh,
Yep.
right.
Oh, wow. That movie went away from my brain completely.
Wow. Same.
And I liked that movie.
Me
a lot.
too.
Yeah, it was fun. If you asked me what movies have you watched this year, if I had a week, I wouldn't be able to think of it. That's terrifying. What happened?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, but this one will be very memorable because we watched it last night. The movie is the new Netflix original film, The Mitchells versus the Machines. From the studio that brought you Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse comes an all-new animated feature about a family on a cross-country road trip as they get attacked by the robot uprising that, threatens to take over all of mankind. And this ragtag group of weird family members has to save the world.
Like you do.
Like you do. I mean, that pitch alone is really good. Like, I think, the whole, one sentence description. Family gets attacked on a road trip by a bunch of... Wait, I almost said ragtag robots. Renegade robots.
Well, if you count the two robots who
there
helped
are
them,
some ragtag
there kind
robots.
of are
That's
some
a good
ragtag
point.
robots.
That's a good point. There are both. It's just that premise is such a good hook. Like that's awesome, and the movie really does deliver on the promise of that hook.
Yeah, it's a very simple setup. I was thinking about as I was watching it, I was like, this is kind of like a basic story, like not super crazy original, but the way they edit everything together, and of course the dialogue and stuff, the character writing makes it shine through. But for me, the visual flair is really what sells this movie because it's got a look that's all its own.
Wow.
Yeah.
Much like Into the Spider-Verse, it really was like, hey, what if we did it a little different and we just tried stuff? And hell yeah, they
well, what
nailed
they
it.
figured out that I think so many animation studios they've been so deadlocked between CGI and hand drawn, and keeping those ideas separate. And these guys are like, how about we use CGI to make everything look like it's claymation, and then draw over it like it's a Telltale game, for all the expressions and the patterns and stuff. And it gives it this sort of tactile feel, and then just explosions of hand-drawn animation wafting throughout.
Amazing.
It's so clever, it's so unique, and I hope that more movies like this keep coming because animation really coming through a renaissance right now. IMO.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, but you know what? That's a normal context that someone would talk about this movie through.
Ugh.
We should try doing something a little bit more our speed.
Let's spice
You guys
it
ready for one? Let's
Put your
spice it.
foot on the gas. I'm ready to
Put
go my
your
speed.
gas foot up my butt.
I will.
Hey guys,
Hey.
I can't remember. Is this Die Hard?
Oh.
Okay. Let me I pulled up a few notes on this movie when I was watching it. And I somehow I left the title out every time when I was talking about it. So it could be. It actually could be. I don't think I know. So there's a legitimate chance that this is. It's got guns in it.
Does it?
Right? Well, the robots kind of shoot stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
There's
And
lasers.
Yeah, I guess if you think about it in terms of the sort of lasery stuff they have on their arms, and then at one point they take those from the robots and use them against them,
Right.
much in the same way that John McClane takes the guns away from the terrorists and use them against them.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
very similar in that respect. Sure,
Yep,
sure.
definitely.
It's an action escape set piece that is more or less about family relationship dynamics.
Ooh, that's true.
Obviously, in Die Hard, it's about a marriage. In this movie, it's more about fathers and their children.
But still very much about something's broken and needs to be fixed. Yeah.
The interpersonal mixing with the action.
It's a big
It features
skyscraper.
It features an explosion at the protagonist's backs.
That's true. A couple times, I think.
That's important.
At least the once for sure.
Yeah.
Which is very fun.
Yeah. And you could make the argument that if you juxtapose the kinds of material that the good guys and the bad guys in this movie are made of, you might say that the motivation of the humans is to destroy the rigid or to die hard. Like if they want to kill the robots, which are like metal and the laundry machines and all that stuff, like it's all hard. But like the soft is the love and the humans, and that lives. You live soft and you die hard. I think is so. Yes, again, I think this is Die Hard.
David, that's the most sense you've ever made.
I have to do shit like that because I've never seen all of Die Hard.
God damn it, David. We have to watch Die Hard with you.
Things that I know, and one thing I know about the movie Die Hard is that it's called the two words Die Hard. I know
that is true. That is
I know
true.
that one.
You do have that one down cold.
And there's a
100%.
guy in a sweater vest that pulls up at some point, right? Doesn't he? Or
No, but his name is Argyle.
that's what I meant.
I'll give you that one. That one's fair, though.
No, let me keep going. So there's a guy in a sweater vest, drives a Jeep. Not a limo. Well, there's a well, I guess it's not really a chauffeur in this movie per se.
No, but there's driving. There's a lot of driving.
There's driving.
Stuff.
There's a lot of driving. A lot of action. I mean, when you think about it, it's a lot of
When you
action.
think about it, there's a lot of action.
when you really think about it.
when you really put your brain to it, there's a lot of action in this movie.
If you have a really high IQ, you can see that there's a lot of action in this movie.
In the Nakatomi building, I wish I could remember the name of Bonnie Bedelia's boss. The like Japanese businessman who is first taken hostage and then murdered in front of everyone else to like set an example. But like in this one, you've got Eric Andre playing the tech CEO whose name I can't remember, who is taken hostage by Pal, whose intent is to kill him. Mark Bowman, thank you.
Mark Bowman.
Who is going to unleash a brand new slate of robots all over the world, and then the robots turn out to be bad. Which is not really Die Hard related.
No,
it's
no,
not
no,
really
no.
the plot of Die Hard.
No, which was a moment that, like, just as a kind of an aside, I thought was really fun, because the minute that Mark Bowman went out on that stage and was like, hey, what's up? Like, here's the new robots. And I was like, great, we're going to have to go through the 10 minutes of movie, or even 20 or 30, where everybody pretends these robots are cool and won't be evil. And they just skipped it. They were just like, he just went out and said, like, don't worry, they're not going to be evil. And then immediately they became evil. And the plot was just like, rare, let's go. Like, we don't care. They're evil now. The whole thing is about them killing these evil robots, not about how they turn evil. And I was like, thank you so much, Mitchell versus the Machines. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. It saved a lot of time.
Yeah, it really did.
Much like how in Die Hard, the terrorists, like, they just start shooting right away, so you know.
Oh,
you know they're
true.
the bad guys
They
right
set
from the
the
jump.
tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
No ambiguity whatsoever.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
There's... Well, okay, so a father and a daughter are splitting up, much like a husband and a wife are splitting up in Die Hard.
Definitely. And there's kids in Die Hard, too. Like, they have kids who are sort of put, not in harm's way, but they have their own little subplot going on.
Is there a dog in Die Hard?
Ugh, I wish.
There might
it's the
be
one
in
thing
the
that movie's
background.
missing.
We could look real quick. I'm gonna Google it. Is there a dog in Die Hard?
Oh, I bet there's a result that actually answers that.
Dang, there is a breed of dog named the Die Hard. So
What?
that's pretty fun.
So that's the coolest dog ever.
What does it
And
look like?
also, there's no dog death in Die Hard.
That's true.
So we
That is
got
one
that,
thing you
and
can
there's
say
no
for sure.
dog death in Mitchell versus the Machines. Thank God. This dog was put into about as much peril as there could possibly be, but because of the amazing joke that robots can't recognize what it is and they self-destruct, he was totally fine. Oh, so good. What
The
a joke.
funniest for me is when there's that one where he like briefly is like, okay, and then he's like, wait, what? And then just
Oh,
immediately starts.
when he caught the car?
Yes, that's right. He got the car and then just like immediately freaks out again. God.
What
Beck
time?
Bennett as the robots in this movie.
Very
Very
good.
fun. Very fun.
Yeah.
Very fun for being super evil. Very fun.
For being so evil. So
what-
Olivia Colman as Pal obviously would be our Hans Gruber character because she's sort of leading the evil group.
Yep.
However, who in this would be more likely to be John McClane? The daughter who is sort of misunderstood. She's trying her best. She wants to go to New York, which is
Yeah.
also. But yeah, they're in California and want to
Yeah.
go to New York, which
Yeah.
is also. Wait, no, they're not in California. Where are they from?
I don't know.
They end up going to California instead of New York because that's where the source of the action is, which is exactly what happens to Die Hard because he's a New York cop who has to go to L.A. and that's where the Nakatomi building is. So anyway,
There you go. Okay. Parallels.
so would it be her or would it be the dad who's this sort of like middle-aged kind of over it kind of dude who's just
Yeah.
trying one last ditch effort to get his daughter to love him.
I do think there's more character similarities there for sure. Like if you just look at the character of Rick Mitchell and the character of John McClane, like there's more interchangeability. But like as far as role in the narrative, I feel like Katie Mitchell is more like John McClane because like she's the one that has to like go in and like break them all out and like do all of the final stuff with like climbing the thing and doing the kill code and all that business.
Sure.
So like it may be both. Like as last time we talked about this context, sometimes in the world there's two John McClanes. There's one inside all of us. I think that's the motto of Die Hard.
There's two John McClanes inside all of us.
No, there's just one.
Is good and one is evil. Which one wins? It's the one you feed.
Thank you for this.
Yes. But there is a Reginald Bell Johnson in her little brother who with the pterodactyl eyes, who's like over the radio telling her
shit.
telling her what danger's coming.
That is incredibly true. Yes, 100%. 1-to-1. Pterodactyl eyes.
Oh my god.
What a little gem.
What a little gem. I loved him calling people and being like, "Hey, do you want to talk about dinosaurs?" No? Okay, bye.
Okay,
Just,
goodbye. Through the
crossing that
phone
name.
book. Just
Yeah,
through
the
the phone book. Not
Brilliant.
even a
Absolutely
registry of any
brilliant.
kind. Amazing.
Adorable.
Do you want to talk to me about dinosaur?
Did we decide on Argyle?
We did not decide in Argyle.
I think that's important.
I guess.
Would it be the robots that are malfunctioning?
Yeah, the malfunctioning robots would make the most sense. Yeah.
Yeah?
Shit. Although the mom also could be a pretty decent Argyle, although she's a lot more active than Argyle is until
Yeah.
the very end of the movie when he stops that one bad guy.
So, I mean, well, I would say that the mom has sort of an awakening at the end in comparison to her involvement physically throughout. Like, she was definitely the one that was kind of supporting and everything, and then she got real mad and Kill Billed, and, you know.
She literally did
she
kill
did,
Bill.
which was
They did the whole
It was
noise
a
and
great
everything.
cue. Yeah, they sure did. And
What I especially love about them making Kill Bill references in this children's film is how many kids are going to be like, "What is that fucking noise?"
yeah, it's cool. That's the thing. But like, and what's wild is I think I heard that noise in a spoof before I had seen Kill Bill, and so.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh yeah, I guess it's a siren. I guess they're like the cops or something. I don't know. It just like made sense contextually, but I didn't know why. And then I saw Kill Bill and I was like, oh, it's that. That's the thing.
Oh, that.
Oh, that.
All right, guys, we're running out of time here. Let's all of us determine: is this or is this not Die Hard? We're gonna go 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Actually, how about we just go in a round? David, is this Die Hard?
Yeah.
Matthew, is this Die Hard?
It's gonna be yes from me.
I'm gonna say no. I'm
so sorry.
I know.
I wish
I don't
there
know
was
how
hope
we're
for you.
going to overcome this. We should probably move on to another context, though.
Well,
That's the
I
only
thought
way.
we watched the same movie, but I guess not.
I know. Were we even watching the same movie? Oh, boys.
Oh
This
boy.
must be a greatest hits night. We got to put a Stan in this movie. Listeners, longtime listeners will know this, but new listeners, we are going to talk about where in this film one could fit the character of Stan Podolak, Michael Jordan's assistant from the movie Space Jam, as played by Wayne Knight, who you may also know from Seinfeld and Jurassic Park and many other things. So where would Stan Podolak fit in the Mitchells versus the Machines besides everywhere?
And I really want to just clarify real quick. Is this in place of, or in addition to, or both?
Both. I mean, because I could see him playing every role in this film.
Yeah.
I think the first it's not too good because there are some ways that it doesn't work, but he could be a Rick. Him as Rick could be a twist, and I think I think the twist of it, like the setup between Katie and Rick, is more nerdy daughter versus traditional woodsy dad. And I think if you put a Stan in it and you put this like the geeky dad that is like overbearing and always wants to like, why won't you come play Dungeons and Dragons with me and your brother? And Katie's like, oh dad, are you kidding me? Like, that sucks, you suck. And like then they have to go on a family road trip where he's a nerd and she hates it. Like, that could work, but you have to screw up the character a little bit to make Stan.
Or like maybe if it's Stan Podolak, maybe he's just very busy as an assistant to Michael Jordan or some other star, and he never has time for his family, and he loves sports.
He
cares a lot about sports,
NBA.
but he loves the NBA. But his daughter doesn't care about. Katie doesn't care about sports.
Yeah.
So like that could work.
Yeah, that could work. I love the idea of putting Stan in this movie and then having his character be, I'm just too busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stan Podolak having a normal dad life is one of the hardest things to imagine for me.
Stan Podolak having children.
Yeah, no way. Impossible. He definitely a stepdad situation. I think it's almost certainly a stepdad
unless
situation.
there is some subtext with Lola that I wasn't catching.
No, there is, but that's, they'll cover that in Space Jam 2. Don't worry. I have gotten a personal guarantee from Mr. LeBron James that there will be a Stan in it.
I haven't looked at the IMDb. Is Wayne Knight on the cast list for Space
I
Jam
haven't
2?
checked. I'm too scared.
Probably
to find
not.
out that he's not.
I'm gonna,
really
but I'm
scared.
not gonna tell.
Oh, well, that's...
Seems cruel.
You just look at my face and see if I'm happy or not.
But you're always happy.
Yeah, David, you're such a chipper fellow.
That's true, I am. Wow, there's a lot of people in this movie. Holy shit.
Yeah, well, they've got the rapists from A Clockwork Orange right front and center, so, like...
But they got rid of Pepe Le Pew, so they're
They're
one
on
step
top of
forward and
things.
all that.
Yeah, jeez. Wow. I don't even... It's hard to say. It's hard to say whether he's here or not.
But so, yeah, Stan could be the dad character, of course, but it would, you're right, it would have to change a little bit what his, like, obsessions are, or his interests that he can't connect with his daughter about.
Stan Podolak could just be Stan Podolak, and not any relation to the family at all, but just has a subplot in which Michael Jordan is taken in one of these green things, and he's trying to find out what the hell's going on and rescue Michael Jordan.
I would love that.
Because he's still working for him.
Love that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So just a separate, like a side story where they run into, like, yes, absolutely.
You see like 30 seconds of his storyline at a time.
Oh
Just
my
a little
god!
short.
Like in the background of every other like finale scene, like stands.
Or
like,
they
running
just
up.
end up releasing it as like as a short, like they do with the Pixar movies, where they always got like the Jack attack and stuff. It's just Stan Podolak's bad day with the machines.
And they're like, "Who's Stan Podolak? Oh, that weird side character
from
from
Space
Space Jam that Contextual Deviance is obsessed with."
And he's filmed in live action. Everything else is still a cartoon.
He's the only one.
There is
that's
some
perfect.
live action stuff in this movie, which I found kind of interesting.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
For example, the family in the frame. When they're like,
What about
"Where's my-" I was
that
like, what about that picture? That came with the frame, and it's just a stock photo.
Well, like the first
So
shot
good.
of the movie is a shot of just a regular photograph of actual people. And a couple.
And then there's that real gibbon.
Yeah, the real Gibbon. Yeah. Oh man, what a callback.
Mm-hmm.
Such fun. I thought, just to kind of as an aside to jump off of that, I thought that this movie did a good job of not being mimetic while referencing mimetic culture. I thought that it towed that line really well because there were a lot of things in it that were like, look, the internet, but weren't specifically like, if you watch this movie 1 year later, you won't get it kind of jokes about the internet. Like, what are those or something like that. Like, they didn't do those jokes. They did jokes about how the internet works without making the jokes that the internet makes.
Yeah.
If that makes
No
sense.
one's singing Chocolate Rain in this movie.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
actually, I
they
would've
should
loved
have.
that.
They all should have.
They all should have. That's what the musical number should have
Kept
been.
waiting for it. Didn't come.
Not that Rihanna song. It should have
Okay,
been
what if
fucking Chocolate
Stan
Rain.
Podolak was a different character? Not Rick. Or
I'm
himself.
I kind of like the idea of him being Pal. Like,
Oh,
just because,
okay.
just because it would be, he's so ineffectual that it would be very, very, very funny to watch him fail eventually. But, like, controlling all of these robots who are, like, these perfect machines who are more technologically advanced, but it's Stan who's in charge of them. so he's, like, telling them to do stuff, and they can't quite do it, and he's like, what the fuck? Anyway.
Yeah. I like that.
Would we want him? Would I want him to be Stan Podolak, the man, or would I want it to be the mind of Stan Podolak in an AI?
Oh, that's a tough one. Like, because I
Yeah.
can't. I don't. I don't think it could just be him, the man.
Right,
'Cause
Stan
that really-
Podolak after the singularity.
Yeah. Here's what it is. Mark Zuckerberg or whatever the guy's name is, you know, who's to say, who makes the pals. Instead of having it be like a British Siri-esque, Alexa-esque Google Assistant, etc., like that brand of phone assistant aesthetic, this guy, Mark, he's like, it needs to be just a regular dude, just a blue-collar Stan Podolak type. And then his like co-engineer person, Steve Jobs style, is like, what if it was Stan Podolak? And everybody turns and they're like, it's perfect, it's amazing.
Oh my god!
And so they make Stan be the AI assistant, and then he decides that he's figured it out and blah 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 and whatever. Yeah.
He decides he wants to upgrade to these robots, but he wants to keep the aesthetic of Stan Podolak. So he builds an army of identical Stan Podolak-shaped robots.
They're just as effective. They do everything perfectly, just like these robots, but they look like Stan Podolak instead of like robots, the most
Yeah.
generic robots that you can think
Instead of anything more aesthetically pleasing.
Right. No, they look exactly like Stan. Oh, I love that. I love that. And I think it would work.
Because then you get, Stan Podolak's got range. He gets to be the evil robot.
He can shoot the 2, he can shoot the 3. He's got range, baby.
I find that fun, conceptually.
I think that could be fun.
I think that could be fun. He also seems like exactly the kind of person who would fail his way up into being a tech CEO only for everything to blow up in his face.
He could be Mark.
Yeah.
He could definitely be Mark. I could see Stan being Mark. Because Mark basically... I'm not really convinced, and maybe this was the point. Mark Bowman is not a character that seems smart or savvy in any way. And I think that was part of the joke. But, like, he's clearly just out there, like, he can't even help himself out of his own little hexagon.
Yeah.
He's just sad. And I feel like he did a lot of groveling and a lot of crying. And I think Stan is great at both of those things.
That's very true. That's very true. He's got a lot of experience in those areas.
Stan loves to grovel.
What if he's a member of the perfect family from next door that they're like obsessed with?
Oh, that's good. He could be that. He is one of the most perfect people.
Yeah.
That could be fun. I kept waiting for that family to not be perfect.
Right. I kept waiting for the twist of their, like, it turns out their life is actually, like, I wanted it to be, like, a commentary about how people only put the positive things on Facebook. Like, it turns out that there's, like, some shitty stuff going on that they don't share.
Yeah, and that
but
really
no, they just end up just being a perfect family.
I felt like that, like I felt about Godzilla vs. Kong. or King Kong. I never say it right, so maybe it's a different thing than I
No,
just said.
you did it right.
Oh, I did it right? Hey,
Yeah.
wow. And I undermined myself. Haha, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Godzilla vs. Kong had the thing where they were like conspiracy theorists. Hey, here they are. Yeah, they're probably right. Okay, let's move on. It was like that with like Instagram. It was just like, oh, they actually are just a really, really nice family that has every skill and get along great. Like, cool.
Yeah.
you couldn't have like just gotten in there a little bit, but it's fine.
I mean, in
I
some
don't
ways,
think it
they're
was
doing kind
actively
of
bad.
the like the world's end kind of thing, where it's like they're dumb and the world would probably be better without a lot of humans.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're dumb is what makes them valuable.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. All world's end.
Any other places we could see Stan Podolak ending up in Mitchell's versus the Machines?
Mochi.
Monchi.
Monchi. The dog.
We keep doing it. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, because he also, it would be hard to determine between a dog, a pig, and a loaf of bread for Stan Podolak. Especially if he's in that dirty jumpsuit after he gets burnt by the Monstars. The Monstars! The Monstars!
I could see him being like a human assistant to Pal that just like is so scared that he just like helps her out for a bit as like an assistant, as a gopher.
That seems like exactly the kind of character Stan Podolak would end up being. Like, he
Oh, yeah.
gravitates to the most powerful individual, in this case, an AI, and he does whatever they want so that they won't hurt him.
Yep. Yeah, somehow Pal scans all of humanity and finds the most compliant, grovelly individual and says, there, we need that one. That's the model human. Like, that's the one we need. And like elevates him to security or head of like the Secretary of Defense of the PAL administration.
This one gets to stay.
Yeah, this one. This is the
This
Single
will remind
one.
me. This will remind me why I sent the other humans to space.
Yeah, I think that's actually pretty plausible and would be kind of a fun joke. Mm-hmm. Poor Stan.
Yeah.
He just
Poor Stan.
poor Stan.
Yeah.
What
Poor
an idiot.
Stan. True.
Lovable idiot.
A lovable idiot.
Oh God, do I ever?
Let's do another context. I've been waiting for this one since we came up with it. Twist! This movie is a stealth sequel. This movie, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, it turns out that there's a twist that we find out that it's a stealth sequel to another existing film. What is this movie most likely to be a stealth sequel to?
First guess. Mm-hmm. It's a stealth sequel prequel
It's a stealth prequel, you're saying?
to not Isaac Asimov, but Will Smith's iRobot.
I was gonna. Yep.
That's good.
Because that's definitely the movie that has the biggest hordes of same-looking robots that are meant to be cool and then take over. Like, it's almost, like the writers of this movie just said, like iRobot. Yeah, like iRobot.
It's basically
And they
like
just
iRobot,
did it.
yeah.
And they did iRobot as the backdrop to the family drama. They were like, let's just do the iRobot thing, and that'll be
No,
fine.
literally, I'm pretty sure that is what this movie was
Yeah.
pitched as.
Yep. Like, we put family road trip thing, but they have to fight iRobot. And Will Smith is not there.
No Will Smith.
Take him out. I think it's and the reason I say prequel is because I'm pretty sure iRobot takes place like pretty far in the future, or at least like
yeah, it
somewhat,
does,
like
yeah.
definitely not like present day. So I think that this is kind of like an omen, like it happened once and then it somehow got buried, or something like that, and then maybe that tech was what they found in iRobot. And there's little hints about that or something in like the final shots of the movie that are similar to the opening shots of iRobot somehow. Who's to say? Who's to say?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think
that's
it
not
could
a
be a
bad
part
one.
of the robot.
The stealth prequel, that's
franchise.
good.
Yeah, stealth prequel. That's good.
Yeah, I like that. Bon, you got any ideas?
That was actually that's what I was thinking.
Shit.
It's just right there.
Yeah. It's. How about you? Did you have anything?
I was thinking it could be a stealth sequel to The Circle. That Tom Hanks, Emma Watson movie about Google or whatever, like a fake Google that's bad. I never watched it, but I just assume it was about the same stuff as this movie.
I think so. Kind of.
I think so. turns out the company that makes PAL is the Circle or whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah. I think that this movie is a stealth sequel to the movie The Artist, because it's a movie made in the style that the movie praises and like the main character practices. Like, it's a movie for people that like animated movies with a main character that makes animated movies. Like, that's the only it's kind of like a, hey, if you're watching this movie, you probably appreciate the protagonist's chosen line of work, which is making this movie.
So it's more of a spiritual stealth sequel.
Yeah, absolutely. Spiritual stealth sequel. They have nothing to do with each other, but they are in the same oeuvre as basically being a lil snake eating its own lil tail. The classic spiritual stealth sequel. About as subtextual as you possibly can get.
Oh, here we go. What if it's a stealth sequel to Sorry to Bother You?
Okay.
All right.
It's the kids' movie version of Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, shit.
But less about race. In fact, not about race at all.
Yeah, no.
But
less
the
meaning
evil
zero about race.
The evil tech corporation is still definitely a part of it.
Yeah, basically, like, every part of Sorry to Bother You is, like, turned down in severity. And the only one that remains is, like, big company bad, though. And it's like,
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah. Because it wasn't even as much about the tech being bad.
Well, I was
about the
expecting it.
company.
I actually made a note about this because I was thinking it was like, wow, they're going really surprisingly anti-tech company for a movie produced by Sony. And then as the movie went along, it became less about the corporate overreach and more about just technology being evil in kind of like a Black Mirror way. And it's like, okay, I mean, they slipped in the commentary. Like, Eric Andre is pretty much the only character who got to say any lines criticizing tech CEOs, which is probably
weird.
the only way you could get. And when they did it, I loved it. But I wish that had been more of the focus of the sort of like evil plot instead of just like, no, but we spend too much time on our phones and it makes us not get each other or
like
whatever.
that can't be it. Like, we have to stop ending movies with, let's all put down our phones and love each other. Like, stop it. We're watching this on our phones. Stop it.
Quit shaming me for enjoying Wi-Fi when I'm watching this on Netflix.
Like, it truly is like America making Pocahontas. It's like, hey, hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Who do you think you are, Disney? Like, you're these people.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yep.
A stealth sequel to The Social Network would also be fun. This is the sort of end result of that whole mess.
Oh man, what if The Social Network was a two-parter, and the first parter was like biopic, very much trying to be true to life, and then the second half was sci-fi, and it was like, and then what if? But it was the same tone. It was like Aaron Sorkin,
still directed by David Fincher.
Yeah, and David Fincher, absolutely, like still a completely the same feel, but a post-apocalypse or like a sci-fi apocalypse featuring these robots and all of the things that happen in this movie. That would be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
So instead of like Marvel's What If, it's Facebook's What If?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The dark future possibilities of Facebook.
Yes,
that's what they've got like an internal review board that their job is to come up with fictional stories of what could happen if Facebook became even more evil.
There's some parts of this movie, for one reason or another, and I can't quite figure it out, feel to me like the Honey, I Blank the Kids movies. Or the Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. The energy of this movie is very similar to those. And I think if someone made Honey, We Shrunk the Kids now, it would feel a lot like Mitchell's versus the Machines. Obviously, that is a much more local catastrophe. It does not balloon to worldwide proportions, but I think there's some similarities in tone, and I wonder if those could just be like the grandparents of
or maybe like the technology that they came up with in that was somehow adapted into making the robots.
Yeah.
And that's why they went out of control.
Yes. It's Honey, We Shrunk the Kids, and then it's Honey, We Blew Up the Baby, then it's Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, and then it's Honey, We Grew the Network, and then it's Honey, we blew up. Honey, the network blew up.
Honey, we grew the network.
Yep.
So the Social Network is still part of this.
Yep. It's got to be. It's too obviously a stealth prequel to this movie. So I think that's canonical.
It could be a stealth sequel to a TV series, Parks and Rec. This is years down the road. This is Andy Dwyer and April Ludgate's family, and Andy's the dad that doesn't quite get it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah,
that would track.
That totally tracks. I feel like Rick is unfortunately much more capable than Andy Dwyer.
Well, that's true, but also he's the only person I could picture having such a hard time with a computer at this day and age.
Yep.
Because that dad can't be like 40 and like he's got to know how to use a computer.
Right.
Like that's a joke from like 10 years ago.
Yeah, the move
I guess
of
it could be
mailing.
Ron Swanson.
Yeah, it could be Ron
that's
Swanson.
True. It could be.
But
Yeah,
like, because
actually,
he also has like, a family in that. But
if you tone,
he's also
if you
a bit
like,
more capable.
if you amp up the family part of Ron Swanson a little bit, which is barely there, but if you turn that up, all of a sudden Rick Mitchell is Ron Swanson in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's true.
He's just a nice Ron Swanson. He's not a dick and wants kids.
And I guess Lucy Lawless is pretty cool, so she would be a pretty cool mom.
Yeah, actually, Lucy Lawless is the kind of person who wouldn't it be amazing if Lucy Lawless fucking like one day just she like gets her kids get attacked and she just suddenly clicks on just like the mom of this movie, just starts fucking cutting people in half Xena style.
Yeah,
that sounds very plausible.
Yes, starts emulating.
I think that actually works. I think maybe it's some kind of sequel to Parks and Rec in which both Ron Swanson and Andy Dwyer die, and they have to be fused together like Dogman from the Dogman books by Dave Pilkey, and because there are elements of Rick Mitchell that are absolutely Andy. Like, you're totally right, especially mailing someone a friend request. I sent you a friend request. Why didn't you answer it? And it's like they send it in the mail. It's like that's something not even Ron Swanson would do. Like, he understands. He's savvy enough. Andy is not. Andy eats out of Frisbees. That's Andy. Like,
now come on, you've never eaten out of a Frisbee.
Oh, we've all eaten out of a Frisbee here.
We've all eaten out of a Frisbee.
I guess at a picnic. I guess at a picnic.
Everybody has to eat out of a Frisbee from time to time here at Dave's Haunted Horse Hut.
So let's hut that like really
Horse Hut.
Horse Hut.
You've heard of John.
Horse Hut.
You've heard of. I didn't know another hut. Darga the Hut. He's one.
Well, horse has been established as a hut. Horse hut.
Horse Hut.
Horse Hut.
Horse Hut.
Horse Hut.
Yeah, what's up, Horse Hut?
Oh, that's good.
That's nothing.
That's him. Yeah, that's it. It's
Let's
nothing.
just do another
that's
fucking
it.
contest.
Yeah.
Let's
go,
Don't
baby.
condescend to me. Let's do another contest. Feminist theory.
Whoa.
And I actually have thoughts on this one for this movie.
Okay, good.
But I first want to open up the floor, see if you guys have any initial thoughts.
There were women in it, and the women were cool, therefore feminist. Got it.
That's
all right.
so
We're
true.
done. We did it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. No, I was gonna. Okay.
Okay.
So, I made sort of a passing joke about how almost every Miller and Lord movie in the last few years has been about fathers and sons, and this one they just made it a girl. And that's I still think that's true, but I think part of what makes it kind of weird, especially it being a girl, is that there's so many aspects of Rick's identity that are wrapped up in toxic masculinity, but they don't address it like that. They address it more as him being sort of out of touch with technology, of him being unaware of how those things go, rather than him being incapable of connecting on an emotional level with his daughter because he's closed off, because he's so stuck in his ways as being like the father, the provider, the man of
the alpha.
The alpha, yeah. So it's just kind of and ultimately he is vindicated in some of his behaviors. He doesn't have to change that much, truly, to be redeemed by the end of the movie.
Most of the work's put on the daughter, which I thought was really a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has to do way more to meet him halfway than he does. I found that kind of frustrating.
Yeah. That's definitely a true thing. 'Cause, like, there were opportunities in this movie to address, like, and I think they got close. Like, there were times when, like, the conversation between Rick and Linda in the kitchen where she's like, "Hey, this is actually a thing that you need to do. Like, you need to fix it. Like, it's not just like, oh, well, kids are going to be kids. Well, she'll get over it. It's fine." But the way that he fixes it is by going behind everybody's back and planning a thing that nobody consented to and they all felt pressured into, this road trip. Like, that's not cool. Like, people should be able to say, no, I don't want to go on your dang road trip. But it's because he's seen as this, like, quirky, misunderstood, it's just Rick, which is a little too close to Boys Will Be Boys. I think you're absolutely right that, like, he is given these characteristics to put him out of touch, and that's his problem. But the truth is that he's got issues with being emotionally vulnerable, and that's a big deal.
Like, between that and the, like, not understanding computers jokes, like, it really does seem like he was a dad written in the 90s.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of dads that would have done exactly the same thing that he did with that using the phone, trying to log into YouTube thing. Like, totally. I have witnessed dozens of customers do that while trying to access our website on their phones in our store. People do, and they get confused, and then they literally change the language, and they're like, well, I guess never mind. Like, you can just try it again. Like, but so, like, that is a thing, but as a characteristic of this guy, it is kind of one of those, like, here's another building block on the 90s dad.
Well, and I think what it comes down to is the proportionality of change that's required between the characters to feel like they've had emotional growth. What does he really change about himself? He stops lecturing his daughter about, like, getting a real degree or whatever. He lets her go to college as if that's a thing it was, like, on the fence about.
Said he liked her videos. Well, first of all, watched her videos.
Yeah. Yes. That's the thing that drives me nuts. It's like, he watched her videos and then he's like, oh, that's pretty fun. And then she's like, cool, I love you now.
And he was, like, only convinced because he saw somebody else enjoying. He's like, oh, you like this?
Yes.
And then realized one of the characters was him.
He needed external validation in order to validate his own daughter.
Pretty cool.
And then, like, he kind of learns to use technology a little bit just in time.
Right.
But for the most part, he still demands, like, he doesn't apologize for most of the movie. I was tracking it because I was like, okay, his character keeps doing all this shitty stuff and not apologizing. The apology is going to be what turns it around. Like, they're going to make him realize that he never apologizes for anything, even when he does things that are clearly his fault. And it didn't ever really get there. Yeah. Like, he definitely did make amends, but it was never that sort of, like, hey, I've been a jerk, and I've been doing all these dumb things, or, like, and I was responsible for X, Y, and Z that I didn't take responsibility for earlier. Yeah. But, like, all of that's the Rick problem. And I think that's
the Rick problem.
The Rick problem is its own little avenue here.
Yeah.
The one that I also want to focus on is Linda.
Yep. Let's go.
And the fact that she represents... There are only two kinds of female leads in this movie. There's, of course, Katie, who's the girl who... I mean, whatever. She's a kid. Katie's a good character. But, like...
Yeah.
And then there's moms. And that's it. it's like two moms, really. There's Linda, and then there's Chrissy Teigen's character, whose name
who knows? Haley Posey,
who bond mostly over their mothering, like, activities when they talk to each other, who only talk about their families to each other. Linda's big moment of like, oh, I'm finally a badass is my son's in trouble.
Yep.
And I am a mom.
Yep.
And so
That was it. Yeah, that was the bummer about that.
You're not going to give her
really
another
cool
reason? Like,
Yeah.
any additional reason? Like, obviously there's a lot going on, but I just felt like it's weird that was a catalyst when it's like, no, the world could end. I feel like that's a sufficient enough reason for her to, like, pull out all the stops.
And I, like, if it weren't the only thing, I feel like if there were somehow a bunch of other triggers to become super powered versions of themselves, like, maybe it wouldn't be so glaring, but, like, the mom activation, like, scary mommy power type thing is really, that's not helpful.
Well, and specifically, she says, and I can't remember if it's in that moment or a little bit earlier, where she very declaratively is like, I am Linda, I can't remember their last name, and I am a mother of 2.
Yep.
And that's her description of herself.
Yep, exactly.
And I was like,
that's her identity.
That's your identity, is as a mom.
And that's why she has that power, is because she's a mom.
Yeah, and nothing else. And it's kind of like, that seems lazy.
Yeah. Again, kind of 90s. Like,
yeah.
I'm getting the sense that the script has been written for a while, and then they just kind of like tweaked it a bit, but just not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like, I don't want to say this movie is sexist or whatever, but I just, I think it's important to note where these are, kids movies especially, are where a lot of pop culture tropes at their most basic forms show up. Totally. And even when it's a kids movie that's made by people who seem to have a more modern sensibility, and they still perpetuate these same sort of gender roles, these same sort of tropes, these same limiting attitudes towards what people can be, what they can talk about, who gets to be the main character of the story. I mean, I sort of, like, I don't think it's a real thing, but the fact that if you look on Netflix, Danny McBride is credited ahead of Abby Jacobson for the actors in this movie, I think speaks a lot about, it doesn't actually say anything, but I think it's indicative, or at least it mirrors sort of the problem that this movie has with wanting to have its cake and eat it too by having this female protagonist, but also making most of the focus on the movie's emotional growth on her dad. She doesn't, she has to sort of, like, meet him. She has to figure out what his deal is and, like, find sympathy for him and his problems and his past failings, and how those are coming back to haunt him. And so she is sort of, like, having to do all this emotional labor on his behalf. And he, like, is trying, and I'm glad that they acknowledge that it's like, okay, he's trying, he doesn't always get it right. Like, that's fine in doses. Like, after a while, it's like, there's a point where you go too far. There's a point where you've done too many things and you need to actually change your behavior, or you're a piece of shit.
Right.
And he definitely crosses the line a few times.
Yeah. And that, what a beautiful opportunity to tackle that. Like, what a golden egg of an opportunity, because they weren't afraid of having those emotional moments. Like, that was not a fear of the movie. It wasn't like, oh, we can't portray sad things, or we can't portray people being vulnerable. Like, that wasn't a problem. Right. And so they could have done that, and the fact that it's not there is kind of telling that they wanted to go with surface level, comfortable, the gender roles we all know, like normativity to a T. Like, all of it, 100% of the family was normative.
It's a very nuclear family setup.
Yep, 100%. The only thing that deviates from that at all is that she has a rainbow pin and she maybe dates a girl. Like, that's it.
That they threw away at the very end of the movie, that she
which
might
was
be
like,
dating this girl.
Winkety wink wink. Like,
okay.
But didn't even, not even date, like, when are you going to bring her home? Like, still not even saying,
there's
like,
enough
you are
plausible
dating
deniability
her.
that they can keep the parent groups from complaining, which is kind of frustrating.
Cowards.
That I don't know, like, that could be like a studio mandated thing too, because, like, studios are so
Yeah.
touchy about that shit.
It sucks.
In movies,
Either way, it
especially, 'cause
sucks.
It
Like,
costs
who
so much
cares?
money to make them,
Yeah.
which is still bullshit, obviously. But anyway, any other thoughts that we have on feminism, toxic masculinity, any of the other sort of general topics in that zone?
This is only a little bit related, but on one hand, I really liked Charlene Yee's character in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. I forgot about Charlene Yee's character.
Abby Posey, the one part of the Posey family that's a little weird, being a dinosaur obsessed also, and how she's a little bit like, hey, I'm a girl that likes dinosaurs, and there's this boy that likes dinosaurs, and like, this is just an interest that people can share with each other. But it was a little bit of a bummer that like those kids are like 8 or 9, and they were like, look, a romantic subplot, and I was like, are you sure? Like,
Yeah.
Are you sure Mitchell's versus the Machines? Like, it doesn't have to be that.
Well, and what's their relationship dynamic? She comes up to him and tries to talk to him on his level. He runs away, and she's like, "Ah, jeez."
Oh,
Yeah,
boys. They can't
well,
be
he run-
emotionally vulnerable, but it's okay. I'll go over to his house anyway, even though he'll jump out the window.
Well,
Yep.
he runs away like screaming mean things too, doesn't he? Like, never
Yeah,
talks
it's
Yeah.
like, "I hate you. Never mind. I don't want to talk to you again."
I'll never talk to you again. I hate you. Goodbye. Which like was kind of funny, but you're
Oh,
absolutely
it's definitely
right.
it's definitely funny,
Yeah.
but it's also like, why? So why? Who? What woman? What girl? What human being is like multiple times that happens, and she's like, "I'll come back again. I'll keep doing this."
It's the curse of being straight. That's what it is.
Yeah. Ugh. Oh well. Anyway, I don't want to again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie,
Yeah.
but it's important to note where these things crop up,
Absolutely.
so you can identify them for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Yeah.
yourself.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we did it. We did a whole episode. We talked about the Mitchells versus the Machines. You remember? We just did it.
Oh yeah, we did just do that.
Yeah. You're right.
That's, you know what? We should be proud of ourselves because we did a whole episode where we talked about things like whether it was a stealth sequel to something.
That's true. We also put a Stan in it.
We sure did.
Yeah, we found out if it was Die Hard.
And we talked about it in terms of feminist theory. You guys, we remembered them all this time.
And we put a Stan in it.
Okay, Dave.
I did it again.
Yeah, you sure did.
Give
but,
me
hey,
more
Dave,
claps.
You know, David, since you're looking for more recognition, how about you go ahead and tell us about anything you got to plug?
Recognize me. So
Recognize me.
One of the things that I'd like to plug is the time that we put a Stan in it on this show. I thought that was really good, and you should go back and listen to that, and then come back here. And you can listen to the rest of this if you want, or you can just like skip to the end so we get the listen. But you should probably go back or you know what? I would say go on a different podcast platform, listen to it again, but really focus on the part with the Stan in it. And I think that'll be good.
Yeah.
That way we get 2 listens and you get to enjoy that part where we put a Stan in it. That is what I would like to plug.
It's much like how sunlight looks different in different parts of the world. Our podcast sounds different on other platforms. You
Yeah,
should definitely
it
test it
does.
out to see if that's true.
Makes perfect sense.
The Spotify palette is tasty, but pre-downloading it on Podcast Addict has its particular salty elements.
And Stitcher has its own little joie de vivre. That's a completely different thing.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Go listen to the Hypotheticast. It's fun.
yeah, it sure is, bud.
Yeah.
Okay, Matthew, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Nah.
Nah.
But my bit of pop culture to share is something that Christian, you actually recommended to me. Kipo and Age of the Wonder Beasts on Netflix. It is a delightful show with absolutely rad music.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It's so good.
David, have you watched Kipo?
Yeah, dude. Well, first season. I know there's more now. I've watched the first season. Loved it.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Aesthetically in almost every way. But yeah, have not seen more than
Yeah.
the first.
I am just a few episodes into the second, or just 2 episodes into the second. Was that just one episode?
3 episodes into the
We
second.
watched 2.
We watched the first 3.
That's right. So yeah, I'm not much further than you got.
Yeah, and
Sweet.
I just started I finished the first episode of season 3 not last night, the night before. Anyway, so we none of us have finished the show.
Yeah, it's only 3 seasons though, 3 10 episode seasons. Very manageable, and it's very delightful, and I definitely recommend it. Christian, did you have anything you'd like to plug?
I do not have anything specific and personal I'd like to plug, although I do have all my playlists up on Spotify still. I always try and keep them a little bit fresh. My best of playlist is ahead of schedule, actually.
Nice.
I'm almost up. I think I'm at 29, which this time last year I was probably at like 15. So definitely at a better clip for 2021 than I was in 2020 as far as listening to new music goes. But as far as a pop culture recommendation as well, I would like to recommend a PC game by the name of Before Your Eyes. It's a very unique experience that requires a webcam. I mean, technically you can play it without a webcam. There is an option to do that, but I cannot imagine that being nearly as interesting. But it's a game where using a webcam, you interact with the game via blinking. So you select things by blinking, and then at various points in the game, time moves when you blink. So you're like hearing a story and you're trying to follow along with it, and as soon as you blink, though, that part's gone. And so you're following this person's life and sort of like trying to experience things, but sometimes things just slip past you because you can't keep your eyes open forever. And it's such an interesting experiment, and honestly, by the end of it, I mean, I beat it in an hour and a half, and I wept, like fully wept. Like, I don't think I've ever cried that hard at a video game in my life.
Dang.
And I don't know if that's because of the game itself or because my whole situation, but I recommend it to anyone who has the opportunity to play it. Before Your Eyes. I'm hoping that they'll bring it to mobile or tablet or something too.
Yeah.
I think it would also be really fun in VR.
Totally.
Yeah.
But because I think more people need to experience this, but it is tricky because it needs to be something that has that camera.
But like every phone
attachment.
and iPad and stuff, like they all have cameras. Yeah, it's kind of
Exactly.
weird that it wasn't a mobile game to begin with. Now that I think about it. But
Yeah, honestly, like it's a little tricky because you do have to like look around with your mouse.
But you can use like your thumb.
you
to,
could you could
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
especially with a tablet, it would be like it would be easy to do.
You could even have it where like you move your phone in a different way, like with your hand, like an ARG, like Pokemon Go.
Yeah,
and you're looking
I mean,
at
if you
different
could-
parts of a scene.
Pokemon
with
Go
your
to the
phone.
polls. Yeah, if you
Pokemon
could,
Go to the polls.
if they could figure that out, that would be really cool. That would be really neat. Because then you could do it like VR style. Honestly.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, that sounds
Before
awesome.
Your
though.
Eyes.
I want to.
Yeah. Recommend.
I want to.
Well, folks, thank you so much for listening. We will be back again next time with a whole new thing. We don't know what that's going to be yet. I doubt it's going to be something from 2021, but who the fuck knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Not me.
In the meantime, all that is left for us this episode is to ask the question that I ask every time of my dear friend, Mr. David Gutchie. David, do you have any final thoughts you would like to leave us with?
The naughty sprite can't torch the stranger.
Thank you for listening to Contextual Deviance. You can find more information about us online at our website, contextualdeviance.wordpress.com. You can tweet at us at TextDeviance. You can email us at contextualdeviance@gmail.com. Thanks to Minneapolis' own The Bad Man for the use of their song Gun Tonic off the album Ain't Clean. This has been Contextual Deviance. My name is Christian Hagen, and have a nice day.
Have a nice day!